You're listening to Townsquare Sunday. Saturday, August 31st, is International Opioid Awareness Day. Now, on the surface, there might not be much to celebrate that day. Opioid deaths continue to rise at alarming rates. There were 43,000 opioid-related deaths nationwide in 2017, according to some statistics I saw in doing some research. This epidemic has certainly taken its toll on the South Coast. Hundreds of deaths each year caused by overdoses of prescription drugs, heroin, and a deadly synthetic form of fentanyl. Two of the people working on the front lines to curb this deadly plague are Reverend David Lima, the Executive Minister of the Interchurch Council, and Connie Rocha-Mimoso of Seven Hills Behavioral Services. Welcome to you both.
Thank you for letting us be here.
All right. Reverend Lima, part of the reason you are here today is to announce a service to mark International Opioid Awareness Day. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. For the last few years, we have been working together with Seven Hills, Packer, and many other agencies in this community. There's a lot of groups that come together, and the Opiate Task Force, and Bedford Opiate Task Force is now involved and supportive of this. And we always try to come together to help not only raise awareness, but to support families. We've lost quite a few people. We've been averaging, and I hate to use it when it comes down to numbers, because as far as I'm concerned, one is too many, and it is for a family. But we've lost an average of 45 to 50 to more a year for the last few years, and that's people that have died, never mind all the overdoses. And so being able to come together, we will be at City Hall to start and then end up at a church service to hear from somebody who's been personally affected, but also to be there to support one another. And that's the big idea behind the International Overdose Awareness Day.
So what's the status of this epidemic on the South Coast? Connie Rocha-Mimoso working on the front lines, really, Seven Hills. Are we making any headway?
I would say we are. Not enough. But then again, we've been faced with an epidemic that has hit not just the South Coast, but also the state and the country. I think we have a great collaboration in the South Coast, and especially in New Bedford, where there's many agencies working towards bringing a lot of awareness and service. I believe if this collaboration had not been established, that our deaths, not even just non-fatal overdose, but deaths, would be triple than what we have right now. We have established many programs as a collaborative agency with our other agencies and other departments from the city to really be out there in the streets and speaking with individuals, offering them services in the streets, and then bringing them into any type of service that they need. Have we seen a difference? We have. Do we need to make a bigger difference? Of course. Anytime an individual fatal overdoses, it's too many people. Anytime a mother loses a child, that's devastating. Anytime a partner loses a partner, it's devastating. When a child loses a parent, it's heartbreaking. So addiction really carries a long burden, not just on the families, but also in the community. And I think we just need to continue to bring awareness, not to just those who are suffering, but those who are not suffering that can support the community as we move forward to a healthier community. But the effort needs to continue.
What do we need? What's the greatest need here in the South Coast to curb this? I ask you this every time you come in here, Reverend Lima, but obviously you've said treatment in the past, treatment beds, still a major problem.
It is, and we can go down the litany, like you're saying. It's nothing that nobody hasn't heard of. There's not enough resources, even though a ton of resources get put towards this. The problem has just gotten so large over the last 10 years that it overwhelms the system. Being able to get people into treatment and keep them there is extremely difficult because the the abuse that they go through, the things that how it affects the brain, relapses are common. It's not that they're just that's what they want. Chemically it affects them, and if they don't get that high, it is an extreme illness. But I think one of the simplest things, which is what this day is supposed to try to do, is to help lessen the shame and the stigma and raise the awareness so that a family can reach out and support. Like Connie was saying, losing the different ages, we do the outreach program in New Bedford. Somebody overdoses, Seven Hills, a chaplain, and somebody from law enforcement is going to do a wellness check and to offer services. It's not punitive. It's to how can we help you and how can we help the family. Seven Hills, with their contract with the state, has been able to train and hand out Narcan, which has saved lives, countless lives. But it's the shame and stigma. We reach and go and visit homes, kids that are in their late teens, up to people in their 70s. We're visiting who have overdosed. This has no demographic that is greater than any other demographic, although probably the bulk is middle-aged white men. But it does affect a lot of people, and it's across everything.
So I was reading where we've had really three levels of this problem, the opioid problem. First problem is overdosing on prescription drugs. The second situation was overdosing on heroin, cheaper or easier to get than drugs, than the prescriptions.
Right.
And now it's fentanyl. And that, in some respects, is the most deadly of them all. So are you seeing mostly fentanyl cases now?
So what's happening is it's been happening for a few years. The heroin is actually cut with fentanyl, which that increases the overdoses and the fatal overdoses. It is a very productive market for fentanyl being cut with heroin. And unfortunately, individuals that are using don't know how much fentanyl is in their heroin. And really, this heroin is made by men being imported from different countries. We really don't know what's in there. Law enforcement throughout the state have done extremely well doing raids on fentanyl, but it comes as quick as it goes. But unfortunately, this epidemic with the fentanyl, really, it's quick. So an individual that's been clean and suddenly uses very small amount of heroin that is cut with fentanyl is going to overdose. And that's why we really need to be able to send that message that, about the risks, but also, removing this stigma that people need to get help. We really need to be able to tell people where to get help prior them to relapsing, just in case, but bringing awareness and really removing this stigma about somebody being addicted to any kind of substance.
This is Townsquare Sunday. My guests are Reverend David Lima and Connie Rocha-Mimoso. We're talking about the opioid crisis and about International Overdose Awareness Day. There will be a ceremony or a presentation, if you will, at New Bedford City Hall on the 29th of August. There'll be a vigil and procession to Pilgrim Church at 5:45. There'll be some remarks made at City Hall, I'm sure, 5:15. There'll be a candlelight service at the Pilgrim Church, 6 p.m., and 7 p.m. at the Drop-In Center at 634 Purchase Street. The counseling and good words will continue there to remind people about what we need to do here to curb this crisis. I want to follow up on something that Reverend Lima said with you. Seven Hills is a key member in these teams that go out to homes where there has been an overdose. People have survived. Mm-hmm. Are people accepting, willing to talk, willing to share their experience? Is that what you're getting? Is that what you're finding mostly? Or is it just the opposite?
We, and this would be a word that the Reverend would use. We've been blessed that people will open their doors. They will invite us to their kitchen table, and they will talk about their struggles, regardless if they're ready for treatment or not. We're able to sit down with people and really talk about how long they've been struggling with addiction, enroll them in Narcan, their family members, talk to them how important it is to call 911. And really, a lot of times we can be at one resident for 45 minutes to an hour. It's really about making that connection. We've been really blessed that we really have never had any, up to now, any bad experience, reaching out to individuals. Individuals are welcoming. They want help. People are humble during their addiction days, and they really, take it on a positive note that there is people out there that care for them. We're going to them. They're not coming to us. They're not, knocking at a church. They're not knocking at an office. They're not knocking at a city official. We are going to them. We're literally bringing everything to them, from Narcan to saying to them, if you're ready, we can take you somewhere today. So we're bringing that service to them. So we've been very welcoming by the person who suffers from addiction, but also their family members.
Can families initiate that help? It seems kind of odd to me, but I know that families can be beaten down by this problem and just discouraged. They have no place to turn. They feel, anyway. But families can initiate this help, can't they?
Definitely initiate the help. There's no getting around that. The outreach program is done through the police department and the 911 calls that they respond to, and that's how we get the list and we follow up with that. But you have some tremendous agencies like Seven Hills, like PACA, like Stepping Stone, and others that can and will take people through their doors and counsel them, get them set up in programs. Again, if there's a treatment bed and somebody's ready to go, they'll get them to that. But that's the thing. And we have had instances where people call the police department or call us, and if we know them, because the last thing we need is, I got a problem with you, Jim, so I call the police department and say, hey, Jim's got a problem, you got to go visit him. And it's more a prank call or something else. So we got to be careful how we do the program. But people that we know and trust, we have actually made visits before somebody has overdosed.
International Overdose Awareness Day 2019, 8/29. That is August 29th. It starts 5:15, New Bedford City Hall, followed by a vigil and procession to the Pilgrim Church, a candlelight service at Pilgrim Church, and then at 7 o'clock, the drop-in center at 634 Purchase Street, where people can continue to talk about this problem. You're optimistic to a point, but you face it every day. I mean, I think you know how discouraging it can be.
It can be very discouraging. However, there's never any time during my day that I don't lose hope to help somebody. Our doors are always open for anybody. And one of the things that I want to tell people is you don't have to be suffering from addiction or have a family member. Come and support this event, because you might be that person that's going to help someone standing next to you. Just you being there to support and give them hope. We cannot lose hope on this battle, because it is our battle. So we need to be able to support individuals, even if you never experienced any addiction, which is unlikely in the days that we live in. Doesn't matter what addiction it is.
Thank you both for coming in. Reverend David Lima with that service on August 29th, 5:15 at City Hall. And Connie Rocha-Mimoso on the front lines of battling the opioid crisis at Seven Hills Behavioral Services. Thank you both.
Thank you, Jim.
That's it this week for Townsquare Sunday. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks also to Mike Roberts and Casey Sylvia for their contributions with the program. I'm Jim Phillips. Have a great week and a wonderful Sunday.